Hello world. Today I am going to be doing a movie review of the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. This personally is one of my favorite movies of all time, and today I'll be talking about some of the reasons why. Alright. Again, the movie is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. It is directed by George Roy Hill. George Roy Hill won Best Director for the movie Sting a couple years after this in 1973. He also directed one of my favorite movies of all time, the movie Slapshot, in 1977. If you ever have the chance to also check out the movie Slapshot, I would highly recommend it, especially being a hockey fan. It's a very funny movie, also with Mr. Paul Newman, who also appears in this movie here. This movie was written by William Goldman, who won the Academy Award for Best Screenplay for this movie, and for the movie a couple years later, All the President's Men, in 1976. The Writers Guild in 2013 ranked this screenplay number 11 on its 101 greatest ever list. Number 11. Just proves that it's widely regarded as being at least one of the greatest screenplays of all time, if not one of the better films of all time. The film was based upon the story of Robert Leroy Parker, who was otherwise known as Butch Cassidy, and Harry, please pardon me, but I might be messing this last name up, is Harry Lonbaugh, who was who was also known as the Sundance Kid. In 2003, the film was selected for preservation in the U.S. National Film Registry by the Library of Congress. As being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. So again, this movie is not just a fan of mine, it's also a fan of the Library of Congress. The plot is of two outlaws, played by Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, who are forced to go on the run after being chased down by the law, which eventually drives them down to the country of Bolivia. But eventually they are not able to outrun the law forever. And that's when the story really starts to kick up there. As I've mentioned before, this movie stars Paul Newman as Butch Cassidy. This movie also stars Robert Redford as the Sundance Kid, and the female lead in this movie, playing both of their girlfriends, is Katharine, who plays Miss Etta Place. Between these three actors, these three actors really make the movie what it is really become and what it was. Um, the the relationship, the contrast between Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid is really great, because Butch Cassidy is really more of a talker. He really knows how to talk his way out of a situation, and use his wits about him to get himself out of a situation, while the Sundance Kid, Robert Redford, generally uses his marksmanship abilities to really get him out of a situation, and so he's much more of a kind of flashy kind of character. So between the two of them, they make a perfect team, because whenever one is not able to do a job, the other one picks up, or when the other one's not able to do a job, the first one picks up. So, like for instance, in the opening minutes of the movie, the gang that these two originally start off with challenges Butch Cassidy as being the head of the gang, and Paul Newman, Butch Cassidy, uses his hand-to-hand fighting skills to get himself out of a rather dicey situation with an outmatched opponent. So, while later they regularly depend upon Sundance's gun skills to get them out of rather dicey situations. So, again, as one kind of character drops off, another one kind of picks up, and then they go back and forth, back and forth. And as they move to Bolivia, down to Bolivia, Miss Katharine Ross, otherwise known as Etta Place, her character really picks up, and she helps them learn Spanish to help do their jobs better. And so, again, as one character kind of drops off, another one picks up, and then they go back and forth, and eventually Katharine Ross's character also helps out by playing an additional accomplice in their quest to continue robbing banks. So they do a nice job of playing off of one another and making up for each other's faults. Again, as one character has a deficiency, the other one does a nice job of replacing them and picking up the slack. Moving on, the music in this film is composed by Mr. Burt Bacharach. Some people of modern film may recognize Burt Bacharach, or at least the name Burt Bacharach, from the Austin Powers movies. He has more recently, in the recent memory, come about for the cameos that he has done in those movies. But what a lot of people don't realize is that he actually is a real legitimate talent. He has done, he has composed movie scores such as this one. This is one of his better movie scores, but he has done movie scores. So he's not just a cameo for a movie like the movie Austin Powers. Moving on, the cinematography was done by Mr. Conrad L. Hall. Conrad L. Hall also did the movie Cool Hand Luke with Paul Newman. In 2003, he was judged to be one of history's most influential cinematographers by their International Cinematographers Guild. So he is not just a one-trick pony. He has been recognized as being one of the greatest cinematographers in the world. So, again, it's another point of emphasis to realize that this is not just my opinion as being one of the greater instances of movie picture magic. It's widely recognized in a bunch of different areas as having very good people working on this film, between the actors, the director, the producer, the cinematographer, the music, the everything. Just going straight down the line, it is by far one of the greatest movies of all time. Moving along to some of the numbers involved in this movie. The budget was $6.8 million, with a box office total of $102.3 million. It has been said that it was the top grossing film of 1969, and if you were to adjust for inflation, this movie would be one of the top 100 movies, one of the top 100 grossing films of all time. So again, it still holds clout today because of that. Moving on to some more of the numbers. The script was originally purchased by 20th Century Fox for $400,000. So as you can see, the studio saw promise from the very beginning with this film. Moving along to even further comments. The critical response of the movie is overwhelmingly positive. On Rotten Tomatoes, they have the film rated as a 89%, and the Academy Awards that they won include for Best Cinematography, Best Original Score that is not a musical. They also won Best Music Song for the movie by Mr. Burt Bacharach, which is Raindrops Keeps Falling on My Head. And also they won the Academy Award for Best Writing, Story, and Screenplay based on material not previously published or produced. So again, as you can see, this film was recognized in several different areas as being exemplary in the time that it came out. So I am not the only one that has recognized this movie as being a great movie, but so others have too. So to finish in conclusion, I believe that this is personally one of my most favorite movies of all time. not just for the storyline or the actors or the awards that it won, but just for the historical significance that it has shown. It's widely recognized as being one of the greatest movies of all time. It's got some of the greatest. It's got two of the greatest actors of all time in Paul Newman and Robert Redford. It's got a great cast behind it. As I said before, the cinematographer, the writing, the producing, the directing, all around. It's just a great, great film, and it's just one more film in a long line of films that these producers, these directors, these actors, these everybody involved has done. So if anyone out there has never seen this movie, I would highly recommend it. And if you don't own it, I would also recommend that you own it. As you can see, I owned it right here with this movie. But again, it's just I just love it. So if anyone out there has any comments or questions for me about my content, about my style of making these videos or anything else, I would highly appreciate any constructive comments or anything else that anybody has to say out there. And I appreciate you watching. That's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching again.